Hi, I'm Jerry Savage, and welcome to episode 2 of The Savage Edge. Last week, on our first episode, we spoke a lot about vision and vision without action. Let me just recap that for you for just a second. As you remember, I was talking to you about a leadership course that I was doing, and this actually was out in California. And it was an equine-assisted learning program, one that I later got certified in to facilitate, and it's called The Art of Leadership. And part of that whole exercise was to do a course while colleagues were observing not you and how you were doing it, but what they saw in the interaction between you and the horse. So I'm leading my horse, Charlie Blue Eyes, God rest his soul. Charlie was a great horse. And I'm leading Charlie, and I'm thinking, hey, I'm an equestrian. I can do this. I'm leading Charlie around this little obstacle course, and Charlie stops. And I'm like, oh, what do I do now? So I bring Charlie in a circle, and, I probably said a few words to Charlie. I don't know. I don't remember. But I'll tell you what I do remember in just a moment. And then finally, Charlie goes around the course with me. And there were 3 other participants up there, and one person said, the facilitator asked, well, what did you see? And that person said, well, I saw creativity. I'm like, okay, great. She said, well, yeah, he did bring the horse around in the circle, and, then they got him to go around the course. That was great. And the other one said, I saw determination. Yeah, he wasn't going to quit. The other person said that they saw vision. But here's the thing that they said in a very direct tone. Well, I saw vision without action. And I'm like, oh my God, vision without action. Now that really hit home. Why? Because when you're doing that course, just to recap it quickly, you walk off leading your horse with intent. And that intent is different for everyone. It's, what's going on with you? Is there something that you want to accomplish? Is there an issue you're trying to resolve? And what are the steps in your mind that will help you accomplish that? So if you walk off with your horse partner, coach, with intent and your focus, the horse will follow you. Why is that? The horse will follow you because horses are herd animals. And horses, just like people, seek leadership. So if the horse sees that you're focused, you have clarity, and you're walking with intent, they're likely to follow you. That's fantastic, right? So Charlie decided eventually he was going to follow me, but not immediately. Now, how do we relate this to people? Well, so this whole vision without action. Vision without action for me, which hit home, and I still remember this is 6 years ago, is that I was focused on writing a book. I was focused on building a consulting business. I was still an executive in the medical device industry. So I had all these things going on, these things that were pulling me in every direction. So I had a lot of vision, great vision, but I wasn't taking the action necessary to get any one of those done. Ever been there before? As my mother used to call me, the jack of all trades and the master of none. So now how does that relate to you and what you're doing in your life as a leader potentially in an organization, in a sales organization? So you can have vision, right? Everybody needs vision, but you have to be focused. You need clarity, right? In order to take the right action, because otherwise you're taking action here, you're taking action there, you're taking action there, and you're not getting anywhere. You're on that hamster wheel. And a lot of us have been on that hamster wheel, going real fast and getting nowhere, right? So what did I need to do? And it took me time to do this. It didn't happen overnight. I remember vision without action. Now, how does it you say that you remember that 6 years later? Well, have you ever been at a special event, something that was, really significant in your life? Your favorite song was playing or something like that? And you remember where you were at that particular time? It's the same thing. The horse is basically giving you feedback. And you've got a 1,200-pound animal that you're walking with. So when you have that aha moment and you've got this 1,200-pound animal walking beside you, I guarantee you're never going to forget it. There's good data in equine learning courses that show that people remember things for extended amount of times. Now, how many times have you been in the latest, greatest sales course, like I have over the years, with a great speaker, nothing against the speaker, and they're telling you, their method, their surefire method that you're going to grow your business and get more sales. And then how much did you remember afterwards? How many keynote speakers do you remember any significant portion of their talk at a national sales meeting or something like that? It was great when you saw them and you loved it, but how much did you actually take with you? So equine assisted learning is experiential learning. And in experiential learning, you're able to relate to certain things. In this case, your horse, as a coach, allows you to relate to that thought, that intent that you're walking with. And for me, vision without action hit home. I'll never forget it. So what have I done over the last 5 years? Well, I wrote 2 books. I wrote The 4 Pillars of Sales, which I released after that in later in 2020. I wrote The Janitor. I'm writing a second janitor book. I went back and got my PhD in leadership philosophy, which hopefully I'll be defending after the first of the year. Let's cross our fingers on that. But I'm not telling you all of that, telling you that to impress you. I'm telling you that because there are certain things that we need to do and focus on in our lives. And unless we get clarity, unless we get focus, we'll never get there. So now let's move that along into people and your everyday interactions with your life and your company. So I like to look at it like this. Planning in any sense is like a funnel. So at the top of that funnel, you've got your vision that we talked about, right? But in order to execute on that vision, you have to have clarity and you have to develop a mission around it, right? So what's your mission? Your mission is, why are we doing this? Okay, here's our mission. Everybody's got a mission statement, right? So you've got vision, you've got a mission. And then below that, you've got your executive team or your managers, and do they buy into the vision of the company and what your mission is? If they do, and they should, then that's a great thing, right? But that's got to funnel down to the people that are working the day-to-day things, that blocking and tackling, the things that happen on a daily basis to move the business forward, right? That doesn't happen without strategy. So you've got this vision. Now you've got clarity. And if you've got focus and your team buys into that mission and they have the same vision, wow, watch out. If they've got that same vision from the top down to the blocking and tackling, those people in the field, right? Then you're on your way. But if you don't have clarity, you may have the vision, but if you don't have the clarity to develop the mission and the strategy, then, you may be successful for a while, but where's it going to go? Where's it going to go? So Jim Collins wrote Good to Great, right? And he talked about what's the significant difference in good to great companies. And one thing that I'll always remember is that the leader of a company, if he has created a great company, he should be able to exit that company, and that company should not falter. That company should just go on without him and be able to be successful. Other organizations who have built, great, good companies, the leader goes and the whole thing falls apart. Why? Because they haven't built the groundwork below them. So here's what happens now. When I talk about vision without action, and now we have vision and clarity, and we're able to develop that mission around that, and then create a strategy with our team that everybody buys into. So what happens at that point? So you've got these people that are out in the field, salespeople. Guess what? You are leaders, by the way. You're out there blocking and tackling every day, and you're there growing your business. But it's incumbent upon the leadership within your organization to work with you so that you become the next generation of leader. And if your organization's not doing that, then I would ask, am I in the right organization? Because organizations shouldn't push you down. They should lift you up. They should lift you up. And leadership is shining the light on people. Leadership is shining the light on your people. If you shine the light on your people, wow, what can happen? Now, as a leader in many different organizations, and I've made a lot of mistakes over the years, and I've done some good things. The main thing is I've learned. So as a leader, you're never going to make the perfect decision all the time. You know, I don't think there's such a thing as perfect, but as long as you're learning on a regular basis, you're going to elevate your team. The company's going to meet its objectives, and the whole ship is going to ride. It's the rising tide that lifts all ships, right? So really what I wanted to talk to you about this week is creating clarity around the vision. So whatever you aspire to do in your company as a person, if you're a salesperson, if you're a consultant, if you're an entrepreneur, is create the vision, but then figure out what that mission is. Why am I doing this? Why do I really want this? Why am I doing it? The how is going to come after that. And if you're within an organization, people are going to see you and they're going to watch you. The followers in your organization are watching you. I guarantee it as a leader. And why is that important? Why is that important? Because you become at that point, and I've talked about this before, you're no longer transactional. You're authentic for sure, and you're transformational. And people want to follow authentic leaders, and they'll damn sure follow authentic transformational leaders if there's change involved. Now, if you have vision without the right action and the right clarity, it's very transactional. People will follow you because they're getting a paycheck, and they may have their own little book of business. But are they there, and do they embrace the whole vision and mission of the company? Probably not. But if they see in you that you are an authentic leader, transformational, that you embody everything that we just talked about, shining the light on your people and lifting them up, the sky's the limit. People are going to follow you. I don't know about you, but when I was in the Marine Corps, I had leaders that I really looked up to. Now, most of them were pretty tough. They were hard. But God, I would have followed them to the end of the earth. So we need to create that within our leadership and our companies. And you folks that are salespeople that are aspiring to be leaders in an organization, just remember, keep doing what you're doing. Stay focused. And somebody's going to come along, I guarantee, and they're going to look at you as their next mentor, right? And one of the legacies that we can leave as people and as leaders is shining that light on other people. And when we do that, we may never, ever see the results. Most of the time we won't. And that's okay. But our legacy isn't to shine the light back on us. It's to create the next generation. The company I talked about, the great companies, those leaders that are now gone, they're a picture on the wall, and the company's still functioning on all cylinders, they did their job. They were great leaders. So if you want to aspire to be a leader, aspire to be a leader that shines the light on people, that those people will want to follow you, and that when you leave, you know that you've done your job, and they know because you've left it in good hands. Thanks for joining me today. This is The Savage Edge. I'll see you next time.